All right, so what we've got in the vise is a black and white powder painted 1/8 ounce New Age minnow style jig head with red 3D eyes. I used UV resin, put them in with. And I got one quick tip on UV resin. If you're gonna do the whole head, you're gonna do the eyes, you got a bright, super sunny day outside, hang them up outside, let them dry. So much faster, so much easier. That sun will bake that UV resin on like you would not believe. Hopefully it don't do something odd to it, crack it, break it, something like that. I don't know, I haven't really had a chance to test it out, but man, it sure seems like it sets that UV resin in super quick. So let's give this a shot. We're gonna do a bucktail jig. We have got our hairline dubbin, hardest whole head cement. We're gonna be putting down as our base, like every single jig I do. Sometimes I'll use the Sally Hansen's. If I run out of this, the good thing about the Sally Hansen's, I can go right down the road to Walmart and get it. I usually get all that at the Plateau Fly Shop in Springfield, Missouri. They're 30 miles away. That's the only bad thing. So if I run out, I work in Springfield, so it makes it a little bit easier for me to run there and get it on my way to work. If it's on the weekend, try not to run out, but it happens. Anyway, we are going to start our thread base right directly behind the head of the jig. We're only going to go down about 3/8 of an inch. We're going to go right back to the head right there. We're going to trim that tag end off. Cut that baby right there, and let's do, I think we're going to use red as the middle. Going after that kind of bleeding look to it. So we're going to cut a small amount of red bucktail. Keep bumping my camera. We're going to pull the loose fibers out right there at the end. Make sure it's all nice and even, kind of squared up. We are going to leave out just a little bit right there, and we're going to push it. We're going to wrap it with our hands kind of around the shank of that hook right behind the jig head. And we're going to take that thread and we're going to tie it in. We're going to give us pretty good tight wraps. And on my bucktail jigs, I like to use a heavy thread. We're using 200 denier Vivas. We're going to stop right there. So we got a real thin neck, and you can almost stop with that jig right there just like that. That's a pretty jig by itself. Before I put my next layer on, I'm going to put just a little bit more drop of glue right there on the top of it. We're going to coat those threads right there. And we're going to cut us off a thin amount, approximately the same as we used for the center section. Not even, well, yeah, about the exact same size as we cut for the center section. It's going to be a small amount. With experience, you get to where you kind of know how much bucktail to cut off for each jig. You know, depending on size, weight, stuff like that. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to make sure we're all nice and even here at the end. We ain't got no flyaways, no crazy ones, no uninvited hairs that we don't want. Trim that off, lay it right there on top, and our goal is to wrap no further than what we've wrapped that red. So we're going to lay that right there like that. We're going to kind of push it down at a 45-degree angle. We're going to give it a loose wrap, another loose wrap, and then on this one we're going to pull up tight from the underneath side of the hook. That'll keep that bucktail from rolling on you. Always make it really tight when coming up from the bottom. Tighter coming up from the bottom. Just like that. And we got it to there. That's our belly portion. We're going to roll it over like that. We're going to put in another thin layer of black bucktail right on top of that. We're going to do the same way. We're going to put a little drop of glue right there on that thread where we stopped. This is giving me a really good base. It's keeping everything nice and tight, and it's going to keep all that bucktail from rolling on me. So we're going to pull off another thin amount. Black bucktail. Get it all situated. The only bad thing about putting the camera at this angle is y'all being able to see how I'm cutting that off and pulling it out, but I'm just grabbing a small amount, trying to keep them all about the same way, same length, same diameter. Make sure it's all nice and even right there at the tip. There's a long crazy one in there I didn't see. Trim it off. Pull about 1/4 inch of it out past that. Now here's the tricky part. Don't get your finger stuck in that hook. Put your finger between those hooks. Lay it right there to 45. Start out with the loose one. Loose one. Make your tight one coming from the back and from the bottom. Just like that. Tighter from the bottom. Wrapping it like that will keep your bucktail from rolling around on the hook shank while you're trying to tie it down. Now we're going to put in a little bit of flash with this. We're going to go with some kind of red. Actually, I think I'm going to go with this rainbow crystal. No, let's go with the red crystal flash. I'm going to cut off one full strip. I'm going to double it over. Go right underneath that jig head like that, pull it up. Start tying it in. Let's roll it over just a little bit. Let's get these two separated before we get tying too much more. I kind of like it to where I got one on one side and one on the other. I think what we're going to do is we're going to rotate it all up here on top of that hook. Right here. And tie it in. And that gives it where it's all coming out of one side right there at the bottom. Rotate it over, make sure you got it all nice and covered. There's a trick to that if you don't. I'm gonna show you that here in just a second. Get it right there to the end. Now let's do our whip finish on it. Cut our thread off. And what I like to do if I don't have all the threads covered and there's some material showing through, a black permanent marker. Paint over top of them. Just like that. Then we're going to take our UV Solar Ease resin, we're going to brush it down. A little bit of red coming through right there. We can live with that. And I'm going to take it outside and I'm going to leave it outside to cure. Because like I said, the sun will cure that a whole lot faster than my flashlight will. And it's up to you about what you want to do with that flash. Do you want to leave it long? Do you want to leave it short? You could actually have rolled that back up, twisted it back in, and tied it back into the jig. Could have went with 4 pieces of flash, but I kind of like it just a little bit longer, and I like it kind of hang off the sides like that. Comes out a nice jig. I love tying bucktail jigs. I like the way they tie, I like the way they look when they're finished. Give it a shot. It's not a hard jig. Don't be intimidated by it. Like, share, give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you think.